What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Saved by the Code, where I talk about all things cryptocurrencies. Man, oh man, do we got a juicy one for you today. Saved by the Code has always got the juice. We're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff. We got so much news. There's just too much news. You just got to pick and choose. It's a great problem to have, but I chose some of what I thought to be the most interesting stories of the day. We got all sorts of stuff ranging from criticisms of Trump's Bitcoin reserve plan. We got end of crypto crackdowns, whales buying a bunch of Bitcoin, Jerome Powell talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum. We got more companies stacking more Bitcoin, and Putin says Bitcoin's unstoppable. And then towards the end, I'm going to be talking about what are called unspent transaction outputs, something a lot of people aren't aware of. It's just going to be a basic overview of how Bitcoin works. But we will get into all of that. Like I said, juicy episode. But today, prices are looking like it just looks like a Christmas tree on CoinGecko, which tells you all the prices of crypto. We got stuff down 1, 2%, stuff up 2, 3%, some randomly up 10, 15%. So we're pretty much sideways upwards right now. Bitcoin hovering around $100,000, and I know everybody's thinking, why the hell isn't it 110, 120, $1 million by now? And it will get there. It will. I couldn't tell you the reason why it's not at 110, 120 right now. I mean, I have my speculation as to why, and it's just crossing that $100,000 mark is a huge psychological barrier, and people need to, I feel like, get used to a 6-digit Bitcoin. I mean, it would be difficult for me even to buy a Bitcoin above $100,000. It's just how the human brain works, and I think it's just going to take time for people to adjust to it. But it will blast past it. It is inevitable, Mr. Anderson. And yeah, we just gotta. The bullishness is just so palpable with this everything that's just ever since November 5th. It's just such a beautiful thing. The amount of pro crypto legislation, pro crypto people that are being appointed in this new administration, and the futures are very bright for crypto. And so, yeah, I am not worried whatsoever. Bitcoin is still Bitcoining. So annoying. Just go over 100K, Grandpa Bitcoin. Gosh. But on that topic, some of you maybe saw whenever Bitcoin first crossed over the $100,000 mark, late Wednesday, early Thursday. I mean, depending on where you were, it was like Wednesday, Thursday. Went up to 104, just blasted past, and then kind of messed around 101, 102, 103, and then crashed from 104 down to 92,000, and then bounced back right up to where we are right now, about $100,000. And wow, a lot of people got totally annihilated there if that were in leverage positions. And this happens in bull markets, pretty much in any market. The price went over 100K. A bunch of people took out overly leveraged longs and got themselves annihilated. Because, man, that was a crazy one. It went from 104 down to 92,000 in like 3 or 4 hours. And it crashed from 98, right when it hit like 98, 99, 98,000, it went down to 90, 91, 950. Ugh. And then immediately bounced back up to 98. Like, it happened in the matter of like an hour. Like, it was just crazy. Yeah, it's like an hour and a half. This happened, and wow, $1 billion was liquidated, and then also shorts got destroyed too because people started opening up shorts when it went under 100K. Dips down, they're like, oh yeah, and then it bounced back to 98 and up, and or if it went to like 95, they open shorts and it bounces back, and boom, you get wrecked both ways. Ugh, what a mind. Ugh, just messes with your head when that stuff happens. I mean, some people. I read that the biggest liquidation was $19 million. Woo! That is rough, no matter how rich you are. I mean, I guess billionaire. Oh, whatever. 19 mil, it's all good. What is that? Couple Bugattis, I'm fine. That's yeah. So that happened. That was crazy. Flash crash. I think it got as low as like 90,000 on some exchanges, but it just bounced right back. Now we're at 100K, and I think it spooked a lot of people. You know, people probably taking a, whoa, okay, yeah, just gonna chill and see what happens here. And now that that shakeout happened, I think we will be able to blast past 100K a little easier, because people just got, it just stayed above 100 for like a couple hours and then just bam, smash down. So yeah, that happened. Good times on leverage trading. Man, that's rough. But yeah, it's this article states that yeah, $1 billion in leverage positions were liquidated, and yeah, you gotta watch it, folks. If you're taking out leverage, do not over leverage. I mean, 3x is like, yeah, that's like as high as I would go. 5x like maximum, like maybe 5x. I mean, unless you're not risking is a ton of capital, I would understand. Like if you put in like 0.5%, 1% of your portfolio, you want to do a crazy 10x leverage trade just for fun. You know, hey, cool. You know, you lose 0.5%, 1% of your portfolio, but the upside is just, you know, tens of thousands of dollars. Then yeah, I could see the logic there. But people taking out like 20x, 10, 15x, 20x leverage trades with like millions of dollars, like, ugh, you're just asking for it. And so, yeah, that's just about what happened on Thursday. It said here, long traders who bet on price increases bore the brunt of the losses. About 80% of the liquidations, approximately 817 million, came from long positions. Oh, man. It really only happened on Bitcoin's chart. I mean, a bunch of other stuff crashed, but not that heavily. So it's quite clearly manipulation, and and what happens is a cascading effect where a bunch of stop losses are hit and it just cascades. It's a cascading effect, which it happens so fast. From 99 to 92, 91, 90,000 on some exchanges. But we're right back at 100K, and I think we'll blast past it very soon here. All right, let's get into this whole Trump's Bitcoin reserve plan faces harsh criticism from ex-Treasury Secretary. Lawrence Summers, Larry Summers, doesn't like this Bitcoin reserve idea. This idea, quote, that we should have some kind of national Bitcoin reserve is crazy. Tell us why, Larry. Why don't you tell us why? And he says the reasoning for maintaining it, he says it makes no sense. There's no reason to do that other than to pander to generous special interest campaign contributors. That's it. That's the only reason we would do it for. And that's the only reason he could provide. He said here, despite bull cases, it remains high. Avik Roy, another guy, is skeptical about the whole Bitcoin reserve. He said, the Bitcoin reserve is good, but it does not solve the problem. You still have to actually do the budgetary reforms to get us out of this $2 trillion a year of federal deficits. It's a start, and I appreciate skepticism. You know, I do. I think they're wrong. I think having a Bitcoin reserve is a big part of this puzzle to solve the ridiculous amount of debt that we create every single year. And why the hell not? It's such a simple solution as well. You just buy and hold Bitcoin. And just by the US doing that, the price increase would be massive. And so they could take advantage of that as well. Other countries will do it. Companies, and it'll just send the price up to over 1 million. Like, I mean, it's so easily if this actually were to be enacted. And but these people, they don't provide any actual reason as to why it's crazy. Like, in other than saying you're just pandering to the Bitcoin holders, it doesn't do anything for Americans. Guess who's a Bitcoin holder? The U.S. We hold 200,000 Bitcoin, and if we acquire more and the price keeps going up and up and up, guess who benefits? I don't know, maybe the American people? Another story here, former Federal Reserve President says nothing good comes from making Bitcoin a reserve currency. Nothing good. He says there's no exit strategy, and it doesn't pay out dividends. Hey buddy, does gold pay out any dividends at all? Does it? I mean, all that we would be left holding are volatile tokens that produce no income. Gold produces no income. Okay? And you wouldn't need to, and he also says that there's no exit strategy. If the US establishes a Bitcoin reserve, you won't need to exit, okay? It would be so quickly accepted all around the world. Other countries would start doing it, and it would just catalyze Bitcoin being accepted by like everything everywhere. And the next step would be making it legal tender. And this guy just like assumes that it's just gonna stagnate, that nothing's gonna progress if this was enacted. No exit strategy. You would be able to literally spend your Bitcoin on things real quick. These things would go through if this were to be, this Bitcoin reserve was to be established. And volatile tokens, he says as well. I don't know if this guy knows, but when the market cap of something increases significantly, in the $5-10 trillion range, it stabilizes. I don't know. That's kind of what gold has done, and it's even increased in value. And another thing is that these guys criticizing this don't have any other better plans. They're just like, what better plan you got, dude? Do you have a better plan than this? And it's so simple too. You just buy and hold Bitcoin. That's all you do. Like, not complex, not this and that. You gotta do this and that. You just buy Bitcoin and hold it. Number go up technology activated. Like I said, I appreciate criticism. You shouldn't just go like, yeah, it's great, but do you have a better idea? Do you have a better idea? No, you don't. Okay? And it says here too, this dude, his name's Doodley. Bill Doodley. Doodley? It says Dudley up there. It says Doodley down here. I like Doodley. He says here, however, in his essay, Doodley explained why adopting the proposal could spell trouble. This makes no sense to me. For example, the U.S. government's imprimatur encouraged everyone to make Bitcoin a small part of their portfolio, say just 2%. Total value of global stocks and bonds is 250 trillion, so 2% would require all Bitcoin to be worth 5 trillion or 250K each. Double the portfolio allocation to 4%, and the price would need to double again. What's that mean? I don't know. Doesn't that mean, yeah, price is going up? People are buying Bitcoin. Why is that spelling trouble? I don't. Am I not interpreting that correctly or something? But the guy, he presents something here that's interesting. He says, meanwhile, this guy, Doodley, urged Trump to focus on developing a set of laws and regulations to ensure the safe operation of the crypto industry. Okay, we're doing that. Like, I don't know if he's like reading the news or like listening to what Trump has said. He's very pro-crypto, and he's appointing very pro-crypto people. I don't know why he has to urge him. He doesn't need to. He's already going to do it. I think this guy's like mad he doesn't own any Bitcoin or something. But he's not anti-crypto, which is cool. But he says that we need, good regulations. He argued that without strong guardrails, fraud and abuse will continue to plague the digital asset space. Guess what, buddy? There's fraud and abuse everywhere in every industry. Okay, I agree. You need some regulations, but you don't have a better plan. No one does. Okay. Bitcoin is the best thing we got, if you ask me, and it's such a simple, it's such a beautifully simple plan. You buy Bitcoin, you hold it, number go up. Wow, we made a bunch of money. Look at that, trillions of dollars made. No one has a better plan to pay off all this ridiculous debt, $36 trillion in debt that we have. Bitcoin Reserve is a bad deal for Americans. Bad deal. It's like I said, I respect this guy because he says stuff like this. Quote, Bitcoin has some positive attributes. It can be transferred to anyone, anywhere without relying on Yeah, Bitcoin's great, he says. He says, despite these merits, creating a Bitcoin Federal Reserve would likely cause prices to skyrocket, benefiting current Bitcoin holders rather than the broader economy. Okay, who's a Bitcoin holder? The U.S. What is this guy even saying? I just don't understand. He emphasized Bitcoin's cap supply and absence of income generation is why it's a bad idea. What do you mean? The cap supply is great. And the absence of income generation, dude, gold doesn't generate income. Not everything has to generate income. The upside potential of Bitcoin is so massive that there's your income. He says also that funding such an initiative would come at a high cost. No, it wouldn't. We already have the money to do so. He thinks the only way that we can acquire Bitcoin is through debt or money creation. which would increase the national debt or exacerbate inflation. You sell the gold we already have and you buy Bitcoin. And Cynthia Lummis, a senator from Wyoming, she's awesome, love her, has proposed this already. She submitted this bill in July, and now that Trump's in, it's probably going to be enacted in some way, shape, or form, where we sell 5% of our gold or something and acquire Bitcoin with it. So we already have the money, dude. We don't need other sources of money here, okay? Like, thanks for your criticism. I appreciate it, but you just, I think and you don't have a better idea. And no one does. So we need to do things like this, and I just don't see the logic in this guy's argument whatsoever. But thanks, Doodly, appreciate it. But yeah, I think Bitcoin Reserve is the best thing we got here. Even Florida wants to launch a Bitcoin Reserve. It says here Florida could launch a Bitcoin Reserve in Q1 2025. And other states want to do this as well. As early as the first quarter of 2025, Florida could implement a Bitcoin Reserve. Just as states do it, countries, companies, $1 million Bitcoin is low. Like, it's crazy. And we even got here, Trump's appointing David Sachs as White House AI and crypto czar to oversee regulation. What's with this czar stuff? It's so weird. Like, what's a czar? You're the czar. Like, we're like obsessed with the czars in the U.S. all of a sudden. Border czar, crypto czar, AI czar, the czar of czars. Anyways, David Sachs follows closely on the heels of the president-elect's pick for... Yeah, so he's picking all these pro-crypto people. And he's very forward-thinking here, Trump. AI and crypto technology, he's just like, okay, if we don't do it, other countries will first. And we saw none of this in the prior administration. Zero. They're just letting all these other countries get way ahead of us without even talking about any of this stuff. And he's just going straight at it. It's so beautiful to see. And David Sachs is going to oversee crypto policy and AI initiatives. It's really awesome to see. He will safeguard free speech online and steer us away from big tech bias and censorship. He will work on a legal framework so the crypto industry has the clarity it has been asking for and can thrive in the U.S. Thank you! You heard none of this in the previous administration. None. In fact, it was all anti-crypto, censor this, censor that. The SEC was just, they're so horrendous. Now that Gary Gensler's gone, pro-crypto chair is probably soon going to be appointed. And, AI and crypto, Trump notes, are two areas critical to the future of American competitiveness. Yes, thank you. Wow. Who would have ever guessed that? It's just so beautiful to see these things being talked about and said. None of this was being talked about at all in the last administration. They were just crippling this country so fast. Ugh. And it's great because Trump did not used to have a positive view on Bitcoin. He said it's volatile and based on thin air in his first term. But now he's totally embracing crypto, and it's so respectable, the fact that he's just turned around and accepted. Like, that's the thing. It says a lot about the guy, is that he's just like, yeah, okay, we need to embrace this and be the first and be a leader in the world for this stuff. Because if we don't, other countries will. And this America First agenda is what he's all about. And he's going to do whatever he can. And it's so great. Technology. So, yeah. We got a pro-crypto guy heading he's a czar now. Officially the czar. The rules of... Yeah, beautiful thing here. And it's gonna the future for crypto during this on this administration is just great. So, and we're gonna get new chairs of the SEC. Just common sense. Common sense is just coming back, and so great to see. U.S. official. So, yeah, this guy, David Sachs, made some announcements here, apparently, stating that the previous administration's policies had so many widespread negative impacts, and that there were too many stories have emerged of people harmed by these measures. Yes, it is just so horrible what the last administration did to stifle innovation in this country. This thing called Operation Choke Point 2.0 was literally a crusade to prevent any kind of crypto companies from accessing banking services, and is attributed to the fall of Silvergate Bank. Yeah, that happened in 2022. They facilitated a lot of crypto transactions that faced heavy regulatory scrutiny under the Biden administration and led to its eventual collapse. A bunch of banks collapsed that were supporting crypto businesses. And it was just so dirty and nasty. Just crypto is freedom, Bitcoin's freedom, and those that want to oppose that are against those things. And original Operation Choke Point was implemented under the Obama administration. Program aimed to cut banking services deemed high risk, firearms dealers, payday lenders. So I'm sure there's some things in there that make sense, but Operation Choke Point 2.0 is a modern iteration of the first one, and crypto was included in that. So yeah, and this guy, the David Sachs, is like seeing that how much BS that was. It's just amazing to see. It's kind of surreal that this is all happened and how positive this is for crypto. On this topic, next one is end of crypto crackdowns. Lawmaker says regulation by enforcement is over. Oh, yes. Gosh. A new era for crypto and AI regulation. U.S. House Financial Services Committee Chairman Patrick McHenry has highlighted progress in crypto regulation, focusing on new leadership roles and the evolving oversight of cryptocurrencies and artificial intelligence. In a post on social media platform, McHenry praised the creation of a crypto and AI czar as a major development. Quote, the mere fact that the U.S. now has a crypto and AI czar reflects the impact of the Financial Services Committee. The era of regulation by enforcement is over. Woo! Get 'em! Quote here with folks like David Sachs and Paul Atkins. Paul Atkins being potentially the new SEC chair. The future of the digital asset ecosystem in the U.S. is brighter than ever. So beautiful. And man, the sky is the limit for crypto. It's just, I think we're going to see a prolonged bull run. A lot of people think it's just going to be the same as previous bull runs. Like it's going to be, we're going to see, it's going to be like top out in like summer 2025 or like fall 2025, and that's it. It's going to crash again. Bitcoin will hit like, 80, 70K, and that's it. It's just, people are basing this off of previous cycles, which were absolutely nothing like this one. Absolutely nothing like it. I'm of the viewpoint that we're going to see a prolonged bull market pretty much all the way through 2028. I'm sure around the election it'll get crazy again. But, I mean, how can you not? This is so much different than the environment. Like, the past 4 years, it was just the whole regulation thing was, it was freaky. And it was, like, very hostile to crypto. Very hostile. Because of this, the SEC just, regulation by enforcement, just coming in and just destroying them. Your security, this and that, and just making no sense, and just overstepping their bounds. It was just so disgusting. And now they're getting what they deserve. Get the hell out of here. It's just a cleansing, like literally a purging of the Trump effect is so real. And they're all pro crypto. Like this is like a center talking point. And Sachs, a venture capitalist, is tasked with, so Sachs is a former venture capitalist, PayPal executive. Atkins, a former SEC commissioner known for his pro-crypto stance, is expected to shift the agency's approach towards more lenient regulations, potentially easing enforcement actions against digital asset firms. Just beautiful things. I mean, so many companies left the U.S. for the past 4 years because of how hostile it was. And just how the last administration was all about censorship and anti-freedom technology, anti-entrepreneurship, all of those things, pro-lockdowns, all of that nasty crap. And now it's just time for us to come in and just trample all over them. Trounce. Oh, so great. So yeah, I think we're going to see a flood of crypto companies coming back to the U.S. Not just crypto companies, a lot of industries coming back. American-made crypto. Trump, by the way, is proposing eliminating capital gains tax on American cryptocurrencies. And I'm going to look this up. American cryptos, including Bitcoin. So, yeah, he's just all about America first. Like, you make your crypto here, no tax, baby. Because eliminating capital gains tax on U.S. issued cryptocurrencies like Cardano, Ripple, Algorand, Bitcoin. So beautiful. Oh man, if that happened, my gosh. Ugh. That would be so beautiful if that happens next year. He's such a boss. No tax on American cryptos. Let's go. Donnie T. Oh, always up to something. Always up to something. So yeah, I mean, that would just be unbelievable. And I'm sure that's what's driving a lot of the price booms as well. Because Cardano has been seeing a significant price increase, XRP. Because they're American made, baby. No taxes. Let's go. All right. Next story here. Whales are buying up a lot of Bitcoin. A lot of Bitcoin. It says here Bitcoin whales scoop up 20,000 Bitcoin worth $2 billion in 24 hours. And yeah, they took advantage of that big dip for sure. And when whales are a buying, the price is a roaring. And we will blast past 100K here soon. It's just inevitable, Mr. Anderson. And yeah, so whales are still buying a lot of Bitcoin. So much buying going on. And like I said, you're wondering, why isn't the price above 100K? What's going on? A lot of these big buys that happen over the counter, OTC, where it doesn't affect the price of Bitcoin. You just buy, 1,000 Bitcoin at one set price, boom, boom, done. Doesn't affect the order books. On exchanges, you have what's called slippage, where you buy Bitcoin at differing prices, kind of laddering up. So if you want to buy 1,000 Bitcoin, you go to an exchange, you're going to buy it 100,000, 102, 100, 300, 400. It's going to ladder up until you buy that whole order book out, basically. And big whales don't want to do that. But that can't last forever. That liquidity is not infinite. Bitcoin is limited in supply. And it eventually does make it to exchanges and affect the price. So that's a big reason as to why the price doesn't skyrocket as well. These big over-the-counter buys that don't affect the price of Bitcoin. And it's just, I would want to do it that way too. If I were buying a ton of Bitcoin, I just want to buy it at one set price, not move the price, have it done and over with in one transaction, two or whatever. Such a way more efficient way of doing it. And that's how it works. So it doesn't move the price though, but it can't last forever. It's not infinite. On that topic, kind of, this story, $100,000 Bitcoin price is just the beginning. Yes, it is. There's just so many bullish things. And this guy kind of just outlines a few things going on, but it's just, there's just so many more going on that we don't even know about. Little things, like the whole baton mining Bitcoin, that country just been quiet. Things like that are just so bullish. Here it says Trump hasn't taken office yet, and we're already seeing all these pro-Bitcoin, pro-crypto regulators, people getting put in, and regulations being proposed. U.S. hasn't even started stockpiling Bitcoin yet. Other countries will follow suit. Historically, after the halving, the biggest pump happens the year after, year or two after. So many more companies are adopting Bitcoin, buying it, and another one I have later in this video. I'll just bring it up now, I guess, after this. Other states want to hold Bitcoin in the reserves. Putin's talking about Bitcoin. He loves Bitcoin. It's just like too much. Am I being blind? Do I have my rose-colored glasses on too much? I don't think so. It's just the natural progression of things. I mean, I just knew all this would happen someday. It was inevitable. So yeah, 100K is just the start here. Those are just a few things that are happening in the world. that are indicative that the 100K mark is just the beginning. It's only $2 trillion market cap. There's so much more upside potential there. It should at least be the market cap of gold. It should be more, but we got even Jerome Powell talking about Bitcoin, saying it's a competitor to gold, not the US dollar. And yeah, I think he's right for the most part. But it's a lot easier to actually spend Bitcoin than gold. No one's going to spend gold. No one's going to bring their little scale and their little nuggets and buy stuff with gold. Okay? You can actually buy things with Bitcoin so much easier. And so it is in some regards. But right now, as we speak, yes, I would agree with him that it is competing with gold. It is digital gold. The upside potential is much higher, but and it's just so much easier to store and move, and gold is just outdated. We're not in 1850 anymore, you know? We need a digital gold. Bitcoin is that. It's the best at it, and I don't see it losing that dominance ever, really. I mean, gold's great. I'm not against gold or anything. It's just so outdated. Like, come on. Can we get something new here? And we do have something new, and that is Bitcoin. But we got Jerome Powell even talking about Bitcoin. Good old Powell boy. I mean, just everybody's being forced to talk about it because it just isn't going away. Bitcoin's been declared dead like 500 times or something. It just continues coming back, roaring back. People are probably like, what the hell? Why is this thing still here? People are so annoyed by it probably. Like, can you just go away now, Bitcoin? Thank you. Nope. Grandpa Bitcoin's still here. He's still Bitcoining. Not going anywhere, buddy. All right. So yeah, good old Bitcoin. Love you, buddy. Got some Ethereum stuff. Got huge inflows into the Ethereum ETFs, which haven't seen much at all. It's been rallying. It's at $4,000 right now. And I think we're going to be caught off guard here because Ethereum has been an underperformer at this cycle. It hasn't even broken an all-time high yet. It's still, 20% away from its all-time high. I think it's just going to burst out of nowhere and fly up to like 10 grand. I think we'll see a high of like 15,000 this cycle. But there's just tons of buying going on within the Ethereum ETF space. BlackRock, it says here, BlackRock ETH ETF holdings 2x with a $500 million buy. That's, I believe, a big reason as to why we're seeing the price increase right now. Ethereum ETF's getting a lot more attention, and it's about damn time because they were seriously underperforming at the beginning of this year. $500 million of BlackRock ETF. They bought $500 million worth of Ether for their BlackRock ETF, doubling its holdings during the past month. It's just because of the regulatory landscape has just totally cleared up, and they're like, oh, well, let's buy it all up now. It was very uncertain, and markets hate uncertainty. And that's why we saw on November 5th everything just explode in crypto. It says here the Ether ETFs amassed a cumulative $700 million worth of ETH during the past week, making it the highest week of inflows since they launched. Pushing his price. Yeah, so beautiful. I think we're going to see significant price increases here for Ether in the coming weeks, months, year. Ethereum ain't going away. It's still Ethan. The spotlight has kind of been stolen by Solana, which I think we'll see an ETF for as well. A lot of other crypto ETFs will start coming out because of how clear regulations are now, the regulatory landscape being much more friendly. And I think we're just going to see a lot more ETFs. But the spotlight has been stolen by Solana because it's faster, quicker, all this stuff. It is way more centralized as blockchain goes down. But people like trade. It's pretty much just used for meme coin trading. And there are some good projects on Solana, and I like Solana. But it's centralized. That's all it comes down to. And this blockchain goes down. But nonetheless, you can still make some good money on it. All right. yeah, this another story just kind of going off the back of that. Ether price hits $4,000 first time since March as ETF demand surges. Massive inflows. The move upward comes on the back of Ethereum ETF demand, growing ETH ETF demand, with the funds collectively recording their largest ever daily net inflow of more than $430 million on December 5th. That's a lot of money, man. And with ETH ETF products recording more than $750 million in total net inflows this week. So yeah, people are getting into ETH ETFs much more, because there were days where there was like $0 of ETH ETF activity. But it's good to see it roaring back to life here. Good for you, ETH. We didn't forget about you. All right. Good old crazy France wants Bitcoin holders to pay taxes on unproductive wealth. So it's just an insane unrealized gains tax. So paying tax on gains that you haven't even realized, that you haven't even sold. These insane proposals show you how absolutely desperate these companies are, or these countries are, to get out of the mess that they created, their debt mess. It's just so pathetic how desperate these countries are. And the previous administration here in the U.S., Biden was proposing this psycho proposal, an unrealized gains tax. Get your BS out of here. Like, it's just so pathetic. Earlier this week, French Senator Sylvie Vermeillet proposed classifying Bitcoin and other digital assets as unproductive, arguing they should be taxed like luxury items and vacant properties. Oh, they're unproductive, are they? Huh. I think they're the only currencies that actually appreciate in value other than your trash euro. He says here the bill in question classifies crypto as unproductive assets for the 2025 budget, meaning that taxes will be imposed on unrealized gains if they exceed 800,000 euros. What a pathetic bill. What an incompetent, desperate moron. It's just so pathetic, like how desperate these people are. Fines for failing to report crypto holdings abroad would range from 750 to 1,500 euros. Oh my goodness. What will I do if I don't report? What a joke. What an absolute joke. I mean, this is just next level. Like I said, this was proposed by Biden, this unrealized gains tax, which is totally out the window now, because it's completely nonsensical. And it just drives everyone away from your country. How stupid can you be? We're going to tax your unrealized gains. You better pay your fair share, you rich MFers. We're going to get you. We're coming for you. Pay your fair share. They just are so moronic that they don't understand that these people will just be like, all right, see ya, going to the U.S. now, bye. Like, it just stifles innovation, and it's just so pathetic how incompetent these leaders are in so many countries. Thanks, Senator Sylvie Vermeillet, however you pronounce your Frenchy name. Go home. Thank you. Bye. Everyone's going to move out of your country. Good job. Great job, buddy. Good job. All right. Somewhere Scientific, next story, adds another $30 million to Bitcoin to its balance sheet. Somewhere Scientific just got into the whole Bitcoin reserve move this year. And they added more from November 25th to December 4th. And yeah, they hold a total of 1,873 Bitcoin, more than $190 million. And they are ranked 14th among publicly traded companies holding Bitcoin. And yeah, this is just a trend that's going to continue to happen. This is even more buying pressure. MicroStrategy is buying tons of Bitcoin. They hold 400,000 Bitcoin. He's never going to stop. Michael Saylor thinks Bitcoin's going to $13 million, which I think it will eventually too in the next 15, 20 years. The amount of capital that is poised to flow into Bitcoin and is flowing into Bitcoin is mind-boggling, melting, whatever you want to call it, mind-whatevering. But yeah, MicroStrategy holds more than 40 billion. Somewhere Scientific, a bunch of other companies, and it's just gonna. Other companies are gonna continue following suit, and so will countries once the U.S. does. This is a pretty cool list of publicly traded companies holding Bitcoin. Countries and governments, China. Oh, this is a really cool list. The German government, what losers. They sold all their Bitcoin earlier this year at around $50,000. Losers. This is a cool company. Private companies. I'm gonna put this in my notes here in the YouTube on my channel. It's a really cool website. It shows you countries, companies, countries and governments, private companies that own Bitcoin, ETFs that own Bitcoin, Bitcoin mining companies that own Bitcoin. Wow, this is a really cool website. But yeah, Germany, it's so funny. 0. Georgia. The company of Georgia owns 66 Bitcoin. Hell yeah, Georgia. Finland, 1981. El Salvador, 5942. Bhutan, 13,029. Ha! Ukraine, 46,000. UK, China, US, Germany, 0. Ha! Losers. Oh man, that's just too funny. I bet they regret that now. A bunch of private companies that own Bitcoin. Wow, this is a really cool website. I didn't even know this existed. Zappo Bank, Massachusetts, Mass Mutual, 3,500 Bitcoin. They bought last year, I think, in 2023. Mass Mutual. Here are the ETFs. iShares, Bitcoin Trust. BlackRock owns 521,000 Bitcoin. Grayscale, 214,000. Fidelity, 200,000. Like, man, this is nuts. That's a lot of Bitcoin, man. 1.278 million Bitcoin by ETFs, private companies, 36 billion. Oh, 127 billion. Is that no, that's billion. That's a lot of Bitcoin, man. 36 billion by private companies. Countries, 52 billion, 530,000. Public companies, 525,000, 52 billion. MicroStrategy just so far ahead. They own 402,100, and then the next one down, Marathon Digital, 33,875. Ha! So much. I'm going to put this link down in the notes. I think it's really interesting. This website's really cool. I didn't even know it existed. All right, last story of the day here. We got Putin saying that Bitcoin's unstoppable amid dollar's waning global grip. Yes. Who can ban Bitcoin? Putin says no one. Yeah. Says, for example, Bitcoin. Who can ban it? Nobody. Nobody ban Bitcoin. Nobody. And this is a dictator saying that. He can't even ban Bitcoin. It's so funny. Says here, yeah, because a lot of their assets got frozen by Western nations during the Ukraine conflict. Putin questioned the prudence of relying on foreign currency reserves that could be subject to political seizure. He asked a legitimate question: why accumulate reserves if they can be lost so easily? Yeah, Putin. Get it, boy. It's just so crazy. You got Putin stating, yeah, he wants Bitcoin. We do not want assets seized. We want Bitcoin. Accused the U.S. of politicizing the dollar, thereby undermining its credibility as a global reserve currency and prompting other nations to seek alternatives. Thanks for that one, Biden. Thanks. Appreciate that. Another one of the atrocities the Biden administration has committed. Yeah, so we got Putin stating that no one can stop Bitcoin. Characterized the development as a necessary response to man. So yeah, he doesn't want it. No one wants to get their assets seized. He likes the Bitcoin. We want the Bitcoin. So All right, Putin. Too funny. He says Bitcoin's unstoppable, even a dictator. That's crazy. All right, folks, that does it for the news portion of this episode. At the end here, I want to just talk about what are called unspent transaction outputs. And basically what that is the change. It is your Bitcoin. They're called unspent transaction outputs, and they are abbreviated UTXOs, and that is your Bitcoin. So when a Bitcoin transaction happens, let's say I want to send 1 Bitcoin to Billy. And I'm like, okay, here, Billy, I sent you 1 Bitcoin. That Bitcoin leaves my wallet. It hits his. And the fee comes out of my wallet. So I have to pay like 1.00002 Bitcoin, whatever. The Bitcoin goes to Billy. The fee goes to the miner. And then I get the change. So I get whatever the change is left over from that transaction. So, you know, when you buy something that's $50 with a $100 bill, you don't rip the $100 bill in half. You get it. You give them 100 and you get $50 back, and that's the exact same way that Bitcoin transactions work. They take. So let's say I have some UTXOs. I have one UTXO of 5 Bitcoin and one of. We have 2. I have 2 UTXOs of 5 Bitcoin. So to pay Billy 1 Bitcoin, it's going to take that 5. It's going to give him 1. It's going to pay the miner the fee, and then it's going to return 4 back to me. I get the change. And now I have a UTXO of 4 and 5 Bitcoin. Okay? And these can add up. If you're transacting in Bitcoin a lot, you're going to have a lot of change. You're going to have like a box full of quarters and pennies and dimes and nickels. These can add up. And whenever you have a lot of inputs in a transaction, that will increase your transaction fees. The less inputs you have, the lower your transaction fees will be because it's not taking up as much space in the block. That's what determines how much you pay in fees on Bitcoin, is how much space you're actually taking up in a Bitcoin block. And I'm on this website right now. It's called mempool.space. I'll link down in the description. It's a really cool website, and it just visualizes Bitcoin blocks. It tells you the fees, the reward, what miner mined the block. You can see all the transactions, and it's a really great visualization. And it shows you how much space actual transactions take up. And I can click on this one. It took up a lot of space, and so they had to pay a fee of $332. But this person was doing what's called a consolidation transaction. So they took all their inputs. They had a bunch of UTXOs. They had a bunch of change. So it's literally the equivalent of taking like your change box to the bank and putting it into that machine, and it just like getting all your change, and then it spits out a $100 bill instead of all those coins, you know? Same exact thing is going on here. This guy's taking all his change to the bank, taking all his inputs. He sends it to himself to another address, and it just spits out, you know, 1 output. But he has to pay, you know, $340, $330 to do this because of how much space it took up. Because it has to get all this change, gather all this info, all this block space to do so, and it consolidates it into 1 transaction. So now all his Bitcoin is just in 1 nice output, not all this change. He got a $100 bill in exchange for his, you know, 1,000 whatever coins that he had. So that's just like a basic overview of unspent transaction outputs and how Bitcoin works on this like kind of change model, and it determines how much you will pay in fees, how many inputs go into your transaction. So a lot of people just aren't aware of this, that you can end up paying a lot of money for a Bitcoin transaction if you have a ton of inputs. So yeah, it's just a really interesting aspect of Bitcoin, the UTXO model, and just kind of be aware. If you're using Bitcoin a lot, this will determine how much your fees are. Maybe you're overpaying in fees, and you can do a consolidation transaction pretty simply. Just send all your Bitcoin to a new address, and there you go. You consolidated, because fees will probably increase here in the bull market coming up. So doing it now, or risk paying, you know, thousands of dollars to send a transaction through, because it has to gather from all these inputs to send Bitcoin to someone. So yeah, that's UTXOs for you real quick there. Just, you know, doing this end of the episode, a little education portion. But all right, folks, I deeply appreciate everybody listening. And yeah, until next time, give me a like, give me a subscribe, all that good stuff, comment. And until next time, I bid you farewell on your cryptocurrency journey.